And we're live. Brought to you this morning. Glad to have you people in here, and then we're gonna do our countdown. Talking about the final countdown. Here we go. Beautiful. All right. All right. We're we're super excited this morning, guys. I'm just flabbergasted. I say that because one, it's a great Sunday morning. We're blessed to see another day, and then this is a continuation of what we had going on earlier. We have a part two with Mr. Jawan Stafford, also known as Doshanko, this morning, people. So give it up. I'm just gonna give him a hand clap because my brother's back in the building.
I'm gonna give you a hand clap for having me. It's very appreciated.
100%, 100%. My co-host should be here shortly, and if you guys haven't, check out our first interview, which is well over on its way launching out this atmosphere to 500 views. So if you know we did 500 last time, we're gonna try to do it even bigger this time. So don't forget to click, comment, and subscribe to Francis and Shondell DNC's page. But we're live on Facebook right now, my personal page, which is Chaz Castillo, the DNC page, and we're live on YouTube. But with that being said, it's not about me. Doshanko, introduce yourself for the people that don't know you, who didn't watch the first interview. Shame on them, but introduce yourself.
Hey, no shame in the game. All right, my name is Juan. I'm also known as Doshanko, and yeah, we're here with part two with this glorious interview, unintentional bars, but we're gonna roll with it.
You dropped it on us. I love it. I love it. Mariah, can you hear us loud and clear?
I can. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. So
That's wonderful.
this time I didn't come solo dolo. I got my partner in crime. I have Mrs. Mariah Monroe, a part of our DNC team. She's with us. So shouts out to Mariah. Mariah, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, my name is Mariah. Y'all. I'm BNC's intern. I've been working with them for about a few months now, and it's been great so far. It's been a wonderful experience throughout the whole journey, and can't wait to see what else is in store.
Beautiful music to our ears. So with that being said, in case you guys didn't know, okay, let me regress. I'm trying to dial it down and not get too excited. But in case you guys didn't know, like I said, this is our second episode. The last time, public announcement, I had COVID. I didn't let the people know that, but this time I'm bringing the whole nother energy because I'm fresh. Okay, but the last time we talked about a book because we have this author here, and we're gonna carry on and continue our conversation. So today we're gonna talk about the first mountain, child with a dragon's heart, a spiritual journey into the unknown. Doshenko, start us off with your book and tell us why we're here. Tell the people why we're here today. Let's talk about the book.
Before we do that, I do want to talk about this. Today is a special day. It's known as Patriot Day, and I do know that there is an event, and I'm not going to say its name because I think it's pretty obvious. But for people who have like lost people on this day, or people who are just really down on this day due to like knowing somebody who lost somebody on this day, let's pray for them. Let's hope they heal, and like above all, just like hope they enjoy life better.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. That is
That was really nice.
yes. Remember the fallen. I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, give a definitely a moment of silence for them. Remember them today, especially if you have people who've served in the armed forces. I know we all do have. And last but not least, now that you said that, the Queen. God rest the Queen. the Queen has passed away. The longest reigning monarch in history, as far as to my knowledge, Queen Elizabeth. So take time out and remember the Queen Elizabeth as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, we got that out the way, and let's talk about the book. Let's get into it. The First
Yes,
Mountain.
yes.
I
So,
have a question. Would you
Hold on, wait,
mind
Mark.
explaining the title for us?
sure. So, Savant the First Mountain is a continuation of my first book, but it's more like a remastered fragment of the first book. So the biggest problem with the first book is that it was too large and there was a lot of formatting errors, there was a lot of plotting errors. So I wanted to start fresh on a solo project. Um, I took apart to do all my illustrations, do all of the writing, and do all the editing and formatting. And that culminated into the First Mountain, and it's the name itself is symbolism because of the obstacle. Because not just because of the responsibilities that I have with the novel, but also I was writing it as I was continuing to grow as a person, and that um, like I was in my healing phase. So the previous book was in a phase where I was deeply depressed, but here's the book where I written in a healing phase of my life. So it's meant to show growth from the last time and also from me as a person. And I think that it's also another word for volume. So like when I say the First Mountain, it's really just the first volume of this series.
Okay. So you have more coming up.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that muffled.
I'm sorry. You said you have another volume coming afterwards.
Yeah, so I do have another book written up after the First Mountain, but I'm not going to release that yet. I'm still working on that heavily. And the first book was, I consider it non-canon, just because of the time and also the amount of just inconsistencies with the first novel. I consider that book non-canon. I'm not going to sell myself short because that book was a large task in itself, but this book was the first one out the water.
Okay.
And the first book was Child with a Dragon's Heart, Savant, correct?
Yes.
All right. So this one is a totally, it's a revised 10 times better version. Is that what we're saying?
It's a remastered fraction of the First Mountain. So I cut the plot into 3 parts. And the First Mountain is the first part out of 3. And I took the time to add a lot of different plot elements, add the illustrations, and add a little bit of style to the overall presentation of the novel. So I think a lot of people will enjoy this one as opposed to the first one.
Okay. So you said you started writing this book from a place from a perspective before you started your healing. Is that correct?
So this book right now, I had the perspective of healing in mind. The first book, I was in a different place in a different time, and it kind of showed with a lot of inconsistencies. But this book, I have a much better mindset now, and I think that I'm almost at a loss for words. I gotta gain my composure here. I'm like really excited. So I have to really encompass the body of growth. I think that's the main message of the novel here.
And when did you start actually embracing that growth?
I started embracing the growth when I felt like I had nothing else to lose. I think being by myself for a long period of time, I was isolating myself, trying to figure out how to help myself in the best way possible. I did seek mental health and counseling, which helped me a great deal. And then when I applied the necessary aspects to grow myself as a person, then I carried on from there. I put it into my work every single day after I got off my full shift, and just kept grinding ever since.
I gotta give kudos to that, man. That's thank you for being vulnerable and talking about that as well. Because mental health is a big aspect. A lot of people they frown upon it for some odd reason. I don't know why, especially in the African American community when we know we need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I myself have seeked out a therapist as well. I usually try to get at least one session with her. I haven't this year, but I definitely need to tap into it. So thank you for reminding me about that. So I like that. Thank you for talking about that. Um, so with that being said, let's just dive into this. This is a monumental. This is a monumental feat. I don't think people know how hard it is to illustrate, write, and write a book, right?
Right, so I'm being.
Yes. So this particular book was released on was it September 8th or 9th?
So it was published on the 8th, but it got purchasable on Amazon Ebook on the 9th. And there's a source of significance with September the 8th, because on that day, I had a tumor on my head removed. I had it for over like 22 years, and
Wow.
it was a form of cancer that was rather rare. It didn't grow to the rest of my body, thank goodness. But it lingered on my head. It was connected to my nervous system, so it caused my body to react in certain fashions that were very weird. So like I wanted to release it on the 1 year anniversary of when I took the initiative to get that surgery, and my life has been better ever since. I don't miss that tumor one bit, and I do have a permanent scar up here from the surgery, but it's just a reminder of how I triumphed over that. And if folks are fighting a form of cancer in any type of capacity, kudos to you. You guys are, doing your best. I do hope you guys heal up soon. And above all, just stay healthy. To anybody who might not even face cancer, if you're dealing with something, just make sure you fight for your health, because that's really important.
Yeah, it is. When you get that type of diagnosis, you got to be very careful, very mindful about the type of things you intake.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy part, I don't know if y'all caught that, people, but this man just dropped it and said he released the book a year after beating cancer. So that alone is just a monumental feat. So y'all have to go purchase this book, man. This book is an amazing book because it's like a triumph. It's like a staple of, boom, not only did I beat cancer, but I managed to publish a book a year after. So were you dealing with cancer while you're writing this book? Were you dealing with like any side effects or any kind of like ailments?
So I'm lucky, and the name of this type of cancer, for those who want to be nosy and try to look it up, if you can even like spell it, it's called syringocystadenoma papillary. And I know that's a big, large scientific word that nobody would care to look up. But its symptoms, they're relatively mild. I think like you get a lot of low fevers, a lot of functions in your body are like they don't have good blood circulation. And like any exposure or difference in air pressure can cause you to be really sick. But like I'm lucky, I'm very lucky that I didn't get to face the symptoms that, like, if people had malignant cancer that grows all over the body, I'm very fortunate that I didn't have that. But yeah, above all, it hasn't really affected me too much when I was writing per se. I know recovering from the surgery was like a stretch and a half, because like every waking moment there would just be like a moment of like you get zapped with electricity in your head,
Wow.
and I had to work through that countless times. And I think it was really cool once I kind of got out of that, and I have the scar to kind of serve as a reminder. So it didn't really affect me in my work. I'm very grateful for that.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so what aspects of your book make it different from other authors? What about your book that you feel like is just a real significant difference from other people that decide to write novels?
I think this book is a representation of the limitless boundaries that come with just going only off of your own mind. You can have like mentors and advisors to kind of help shape up your work in a sense. I'm not saying like full blown editors, but like people who give suggestions, people who care about what you have to say. If they have some input that is productive and constructive, then I do think that um, my book kind of differs in that aspect where there's so many different types of philosophies and just mentalities that are just grouped into one novel. And as mentioned earlier, I illustrated my own work. So like it just like chose to um, just showcase my creativity on a visual level as opposed to just on a narrative level. Um, so like I illustrated the cover on my own. I studied different languages through calligraphy. On the cover, there is actually a language, it's an ancient language of Sanskrit. It's an ancient Indian language. And I learned how to like showcase that around the little stone tablet. That's what that is on the front cover, the stone tablet with all these hieroglyphs. I think, yeah, I know I said a mouthful, but I do think creativity is the biggest aspect here. It doesn't feel like any other novel.
Yeah, that cover is really nice. If you
Thank
made
you.
it yourself, congratulations, because it's really good.
Thank you very much. And if anybody wants to know the secret of how I do that, I do painting and I do color pencil illustration. So I don't like have a canvas. What I do is, as corny as this is, I took a picture. I take pictures of my illustrations on a sketchbook, believe it or not, and then I apply graphic editing details that are subtle to kind of make the work pop out.
Okay, let me while you guys are talking, let me try to share the actual cover. You guys can continue, but I want to show the people the artwork and the frame and the time that you put in because you took a lot of time to create that masterpiece. So I'm going to share the screen. You guys continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You good?
Okay. For those that don't know, because I didn't know when I first looked it up, what's the definition of a savant?
Savant is somebody who is very studious, someone who likes to learn. And that encompasses the story of the book because the main character is a child monk. And he has to encompass a lot of different training aspects, learn through life, grow with a family that he never had in the beginning. And as long as he continues to learn not about the things, or not about the things, not just about the things that include family, what he needs to do for his journey, but also just how to be a human being. It encompasses a person who is rather a spiritual being in experiencing human experience.
Right. Okay.
So can you guys see it or no? Is that it?
Something
Can't
came
see.
up. It's like your screen came up, but it wasn't the cover of the book.
Okay. How about now? Because I know it's you guys got to forgive me. I'm tech savvy illiterate sometimes.
Yeah. Just try clicking the share button.
All right, it says I'm sharing. Hold on, let me double check right quick. Let's stop. Let me try to stop then. I was sharing, but I stopped. We'll try it again. But yeah, a savant. You explained that. Let's try to share it one more time. Window.
Yep.
Okay, so since you are on a spiritual journey, what do you consider that for you? Because I know for everybody they would describe it differently. How do you describe even being a spiritualist? If you want to,
there it is.
there you go.
All right.
Yep. So that's a good old cover. As far as the spiritual journey, the parallel with the child monk, where I said he was like a spiritual being having a human experience, that's where I kind of view myself as being, because
Right.
like for the longest time I had to teach myself how to like showcase and just accept being a human being. 'Cause I know I showcased a lot of different outlets and talents, and like on the inside I was very numb. Um, Not like on an emotional level, but just numb to social interaction.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to cultivate social interaction, branch out more, and I do feel like um, I didn't really encompass any type of spiritual journey until like my healing process began. I know I sport ponchos and all these different ancient clothing, so I know like folks who know me, they're like, "Why in the world is he like wearing all that stuff that's like from ages ago?" I do like a lot of clothing that represents ancient cultures, and you don't see anybody else with it. As far as men go, I know a lot of women wear ponchos still,
Yeah.
but to see a man wear it is very rare, and to see one rock it like I do is also very rare. So I take pride in that. And I think I wanted to just be my own superhero, and I think spiritualism kind of gave me that outlet of allowing me to listen, uh, enjoy myself in nature, isolate myself without worry, and also help others along the way. I help from the shadows, so like if somebody's going through a really rough time, I try not to like take a lot of credit for like any of them going through their growth, spiritual experience or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so like those people who I reached out to who might like view this right now, I see you. Keep on hustling, and I think everybody just has a different path. I think
Yeah.
it's like a movie. As corny as this movie was, I really loved it. It was called Balto 2, Wolf Quest, and it had a really outstanding quote where, like, and if I try to do the voice impression, because I can do the voice impression of this.
Go
Okay.
ahead. You
I
on a
want
roll.
to
You on a
see
roll. Go ahead.
your
Yeah.
best friend.
Okay. Let me get this right. Okay. um,
Because each of us has a destiny that sets us all apart. The paths may be different for you and me, but the journey begins in the heart.
so like
There you
that-
go. Hold on. Whoa.
I was gonna say because that was really good. I didn't know what we were talking about.
Yo,
But
I love
you
this switch
went
up.
to a whole character.
yeah. For those who don't
Do
know,
your thing, Doshanko. I love it. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I
So-
saw that you were doing a audio version too.
yes, I am. So to
That was
accommodate,
awesome.
yeah. Well, it's like a delay when I hear like certain sounds, and there's an echo on my end. So like if somebody speaks, I'm like, but yes, I am doing an audio version and a paperback version, and it's to accommodate older folks or people who just like being read to. And people have told me countless times that I have like a narrating voice, and I have different types of dialects that can kind of tap into. I've actually had people who wanted to contribute to some of the voice reading lines of the audiobook, which is really cool. So like that's just so dope that like that support system is there. I never thought I would have any of like this whatsoever. I never thought I would like get this far. Just doing this solo journey. So, but like I came across you guys very supportive, and you know, vice versa. I really like you guys, and this whole network has just been a great blessing.
Man, we're glad to have you, man. We're glad to have you. Let me give a couple shout outs as well. Shout out to my business partner, Shondell, aka Sherelle. She said hey. She said good morning. Shout out to Crystal Reed as well. She said good morning. So thank you, and thank you to other people that are tapping in and that will tap in. Just come to mind, Doshanko, same thing. You can do some shout outs as well, but shout out to Landon. I know you're gonna go back and watch it. my mom, my other supporters, the DNC team supporters. So thank you for people that follow, like, and subscribe to DNC. So Doshanko also give a couple shout outs as well, because we know a couple people in the future are going to go back and watch this.
Definitely. But the first shout out I'll go to is DC Creative Services. You guys are awesome. And I know my friend Kojo, also known as Brandon Aqua, and Landon. You guys have been like firm supporters of mine. You guys have been always on it whenever like I either needed advice. You guys were there in my lower moments. So I do appreciate you brothers a lot. Boys back from over a decade ago when I first came to Delaware. Love y'all as well. And to also the female friends that I've encountered along the way, and also my parents, my family. They've really come around, and there's this whole big circle of support that like I never thought I would receive, and it's very humbling. So you guys are great. Keep up the good work and continue to grow.
Awesome.
Shout out to y'all.
Awesome. So you have this moniker, and I believe we talked about it before, and I guess you tied it into the book because it has on the cover. Because this one says the first mountain on the cover, but you have this moniker, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is it scale the mountain, or what is it that you always say?
Face the mountain.
Face the mountain. Talk about that. Like, what do you mean when you talk about? I think that's because it's like your phrase now. It's like, and it can go in so many different ways, but I love when you actually say it. So face the mountain. Elaborate on that. What do you mean when you say face the mountain?
So I face the mountain. Ironically, I saw the phrase first when I was playing a video game. Believe it or not, I was playing a game called Marble Blast Ultra, and there was a scale. I forgot what the level was called, but like on the beginning before you start, it says, "Will you face the mountain?" And I thought that phrase was just so like, forgive my language, badass. And like it really inspires a lot of people to just continue fighting what they got going on, to just kind of overcome any obstacle that comes in their way. And of course, I have an obsession with mountains, as of course with like the cover. So like just writing this book, it's not just like the first volume, but like it's an obstacle to do all the things that I've done in that book. So you could take it so many different ways, but I think it's a phrase that a lot of people can get behind, and a phrase that a lot of people can use. Like, I don't need to be the only one that uses this phrase. This is a way of life, and if people want to practice, overcoming their obstacles, this is the phrase to use.
I love it. The crazy part is, sidebar, do you ever want to climb certain mountains, i.e., Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Everest? Is any mountain that you ever want to climb because you're such infatuated with mountains?
So that is where the irony comes in, because my body is engineered in a way where I cannot go in high altitudes without.
I was just going to say, are you going to tell me you scared of heights?
I'm not afraid of heights.
Okay.
But it's like when I reach certain altitudes, my body, especially my lungs, they will just be almost crushed in a sense.
Oh wow!
So like, although I have a fascination with mountains, for the real ones, I should say, I look at it from the ground up. But would I ever like climb a mountain if my body was engineered differently? Absolutely. I think it would be a wonderful experience. And like that's also one of the reasons why I never like flew on a plane. I'd always preferred by boat.
Been on a plane before.
Yeah, I've never been on a plane before. I'm like I would come on a plane with a parachute or a raft or both, just because. But yeah,
I understand it. I understand. Relatively thousands of feet in the air.
Yeah.
Can't always trust these machines. But yes. Okay, so the first mountain. So that's you were saying that was the first volume of it. So there's other mountains that you have to conquer later on.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about like when you deal with a lot of trials and tribulations, like how do you deal with that now versus how you were dealing with it back then?
I look at trials and tribulations now as a source of opportunity. I think back then, I didn't have the confidence nor the work ethic that I do right now. And it really showed in my personality. I was a lot more insecure back then. And when things kept like piling on, like I used to be like very lazy. I used to come up with different excuses of why things didn't get done. I used to use excuses as a means to prevent myself from growing as a person the way I needed to. So like right now, I took that wisdom from, seeing my past self being in such a down state, and I take every obstacle as a challenge, but a necessary challenge, in order to better myself, continue growing. The next book, I will announce its name. It is called Savant the Middle Mountain.
All right.
Yep, and I already have the cover for that, but I'm not gonna show that just yet. That's gonna be a little surprise. But as opposed to facing new obstacles, that book is going to be a challenge in itself. But I do know that this book, if I can complete this book, I can complete the rest. Because this comes from the source of the experience, as opposed to just being like a first-time amateur.
Right. Okay.
All right. And I'm trying to pull up the book. But anyway, I purchased it. I recommend everyone else go out and purchase it. Let me read a little bit of description
on Amazon, y'all.
Yes.
All you have to do is search up Savant. What, Savant the First Mountain?
Yeah, Savant the First Mountain. Yes.
Yeah. It'll pop right up.
Yep.
So let me read you guys the description of it right quick. And I want you to elaborate on that, because I want you to know, like, how did you come up with the words for it? So this is the description of the book for those who are on the hook and not sure if they want to buy it, because you need to go buy it anyway. Support authors. But here's the description: a chosen child with a heart of a dragon must complete an ancient prophecy to gather and learn from important celestial beings and defeat the evil that threatens the several of the realms. So that's a little brief description of it. So take us through the journey of the protagonist in the book. So how does his journey go throughout the book? Like, how does he become the person with the boy, and then turns into, defeats the celestial beings? Like, how? Now, don't give us everything, but just give us a little bit about the book, the progression of it, and the story, how it goes.
Absolutely. So the main protagonist first starts off in a cave, and he's with his mother at the time. And for those who may not know the terms that I use the term Idu in the very beginning, like in the prologue. That's actually in the Indonesian language. So at this time, this main character, or just the whole entire world of the story, during this time period, since it's so ancient, it's actually Pangea. So it takes place far, far back in time. So a lot of the writing styles and things like that, I tried to emulate as being very old-fashioned and ancient, but still, to a degree, readable to like most people who would view the novel. The protagonist, because of the circumstances behind his birth, he has a form of amnesia in a sense. So there's a lot that he doesn't remember in his childhood that is very, very important. And over the course of the story, he, encounters a family. Forgetting, I'm getting all this types of stuff. So he gets a little brother, not a little brother, an older brother figure in the form of a character named Sereno. And he also has a father called Zalai. And they find him, and they don't know when to trust him. They're very weary of him. So like their bond kind of starts as like a period of, can we trust you? What can you do for us? And what do you have planned? And I'm going to name some characters and the attributes that I think most fits their character in one word. So we got the main character, the child monk, whose name is Asura.
Okay.
The main word I can use to sum up the theme of his character is answered. Since he's forgetting a lot of important details about his past, and he has to learn on top of that so much from spiritual being, he's on a mission to find out answers by any means necessary. And it's ironic because some of these answers he also fears the weight that they'll bring to his psyche and to other people. So that's one thing. Sereno, who is the older brother figure to Asura, one word that describes him would be anger. He is raised in a time period and raised in a civilization where people were warmongers, essentially. And he was raised to be a pacifist. So whenever he feels angry, his father always kind of forbids it because their type of anger leads straight to bloodshed.
Oh,
And
wow.
he wants to prevent his son from embarking on the same path. But he kind of overlooks the fact that anger is a necessary outlet of emotion, but if released in a bottled up type of form, then it can be very, very dangerous. We have Zalai, who encompasses the theme of fatherhood, trying to figure out how to balance his past and better suit the things that he learns also from the spiritual beings that Asura has to learn from, to just widen his horizons, increase his understanding of why things come to be. And I think those three characters are like plenty in that description.
Okay, so who's your favorite character in the book that you've written?
It used to be more clear cut because during the time I focused more plot elements on like a specific set of characters. But now I don't really know because this book in particular, it increases the plot element of every character involved.
Right.
And it's been distributed so compact that it's really tough to pick a favorite. But I will say that as far as the journey progresses, I think Zalai right now is my favorite character.
Okay.
That's just amazing. I'm just flabbergasted, lost of words, and I say that because, so for y'all history buffs, before the continents were formed, it was called Pangea. So it was like one big supercontinent. So he added the historical aspect in that, which is super dope. It's crazy. And then just your creative mind. So this is a fictional book. So you have to have the mindset to actually create these characters and the plot and the description of these people in your head, and to take us through a journey as a writer. That y'all don't understand how amazing that is. I want y'all to grasp that. Like my book, I don't try to bring it up because it's not about me, but I have a book, and my book is non-fictional. This man wrote a fictional book from his brain. Like that is super hard because I can't. Me as an individual, I'm not as creative. So you had to be super creative. So how did you come about this journey? Like what made you want to write this book? Like because this takes a lot of work and a lot of time. So how did you come up with this creativity? I should say.
Yeah, I want to ask that too. Like, what made you be like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna write.
So it's almost like, if I use the analogy, it's almost like a freestyle, but writing. So I know I said this in a previous interview where like I thought of the book idea as like a game type of idea that I wanted to design, but I feel like with the tools that I had at that time, I wouldn't have been able to craft it the way it needed to be. And somebody at the time mentioned that I should probably write a book about this because stories always like they cause me to be invested. if there's a story that's good, then I can, correlate to it. It inspires me to write a better story for myself. And above all, like, it got me started on this journey. I was always a big fan of ancient history ever since I was a kid. I was like one of those kids who wouldn't shut up about dinosaurs. And I remember that, like, there was a time where I said, you know what, I want to be a paleontologist. And like that, no, that didn't happen. Well,
That's
not,
me,
not,
as a
not,
kid. Like when you find interesting in thing, you're like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. Not knowing you're just gonna find a whole bunch of other interests.
yeah. So like me spouting about the paleontology happened, but like me becoming a paleontologist, no, never. And I think like just focusing on the ancient history aspect, I'm always learning something new. I always research every single day for elements that might make my book a bit more legitimate in regards to its lore. I know there's several different cultures involved, ancient cultures, and I try to replicate some of their fashions, but I do know also that this time period is so much more different, so there's not a lot of diversity. There's not as many people in the world, and their styles, while different, they're all coming from a time where the world is more war torn. Forgive me. And it's basically trying to help a pre-existing civilization. My goodness, grammar is my worst enemy today.
It's cool.
But-
We keep it real. We keep it raw. Keep it real. It's all right.
Yeah, so just encompassing all those different ancient aspects, even the magic system, because fictional books often have a magical aspect associated with it. Mine is aura, and there's a lot of different connections there. I label them as presences because aura is something that you can feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's deeply connected in nature. So like, I'm gonna give you a couple examples. The main character has to learn several different auras, and the first one he learns is called the presence of flames. And it's more than just learning the element of fire. It's also learning how to harness, how it's able to affect your environment, how it's able to affect other people, and how to use it to kind of better your mindset, increase your sensory abilities. So that's another thing I wanted to include, because magic systems are hard to create. They're hard to kind of make your own. And I know there's several different, books and series, like in regards to movies and TV shows out there that have their magic systems. But I wanted to make sure that I put a different spin on it. I think Avatar: The Last Airbender
Yes.
kind of touched on a lot of this. I think the choreography and just the different emotional styles, the cultural aesthetics of each of their respective nations really set in motion like my need to have this magic system as like a layer of mysticism in a book that involves human issues.
Like that.
So y'all got to catch the gems that he just dropped in there. So not only does he take you through a historical journey, not only does the protagonist go through a journey, but he has elements of magic. The book has a certain lore about it. So I'm ready to dive into it, man. A lot of my books that I've liked in the past that are similar, Harry Potter has magic in it. Like people like, I love Harry Potter. I'm one of those Harry Potter buffs. Shout out to the author. What's her name again?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Her story is amazing. Shout out to Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings. What other authors have inspired you in your journey of writing this book?
So I had some poets.
Okay.
I looked up the first human poet, or I should say the first female poet. I can't even pronounce her name, but if you look up first female poet, it's someone from the Mesopotamian area.
Oh, wow.
It's a woman. who was deeply connected to like the Sumerian culture, and I do know also J.K. Rowling, as you said, but also see, I'm not the biggest fan of like um, so many authors per se. It's mainly their direction in movies and TV shows where I kind of got associated. Because as ironic as it is, I don't read as much as I write. I write so much that if I read, I might, while it might be cool to inspire some ideas based off of what I read, I want to make sure that my ideas are organic.
Gotcha.
So I don't really dive as deep into books.
Your own inspiration, your own muse. That's cool.
I totally understand. Totally understand. Because you talked about it, writing is so therapeutic too. So it sounds like it's very therapeutic for you. So I'm glad you got to get a chance to release your art. That's kind of as crazy. It's kind of you painting it in your head and then you're putting it on paper and then you're releasing it to the world. I don't think people understand how vulnerable you are when you're releasing your creation. But thank you for sharing it with us too. Because you could have kept it to yourself. You could have just wrote the book and just kept all your thoughts to yourself and never released it.
That'd be the hard part for people. A lot of creators is sharing their work.
Yes, indeed. I've actually had friends who were inspired to write because I took that initiative to start writing and publishing, which I think is really cool. And I never expected to like affect people in that fashion. I think like because I was always a guy where I didn't really have the ability to harness my talents in any way, shape, or form. I was kind of like a klutz. I had charisma, but it was kind of overshadowed by like a dark cloud of insecurity. But now I think that since a lot of those insecurities have been removed, I'm more well-rounded as an individual. I'm more taking the initiative to showcase discipline, patience, and also just a deeper sense of connection with my environment. I think that if people who see me, who know me, who feel like they can write but need a little bit of guidance, I can give some guidance on how to begin. But the story that you want to write, that's got to be your own.
Yeah, it has to be your own. Authenticity. Did I say it right? Authenticity is key. There you go.
Oh wait, I think you're authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity. There you go.
Shout and just I'm laughing because he illustrated and he grammatically checked his own book too as well.
Yeah,
so you didn't have an editor at all, right?
Correct.
So so not only me personally, I have an editor. So I know I tell people all the time I articulate myself better than I actually write. I misspell words all the time. But shouts out to all the editors out there. But for you, so you wrote the book, edited your own self, and added the own illustrations, and you're gonna do the voiceover. So you just hitting them with you're coming at them from all different angles, man. You don't get burnt out, tired, or anything. Like, do you take a break? What's your typical day of like writing this process? Is it like as soon as I get off work, I'm right at it? Like, how was that process?
Yes, as soon as I get off work, I'm straight to it. I do get tired, of course, because we're human. We can't run off of the engine for multiple days on end. If you do, then get out of here. But I think that a lot of people can relate to this, where you kind of have to compartmentalize your time. I think with the amount of time that I have, which is kind of little on the days that I'm off, I put all the effort and work into the book, just growing it into the best book it could possibly be, the best series it could possibly be. I do get burnt out a lot, but since there's so many different aspects to the responsibilities of my career as an author, I think where in one area where I get burned out, I can go to another area and add to.
That makes sense. So it's kind of like when you come back to another area, you kind of recharge because you went somewhere else. So, prime example, if you're somewhat tired of writing, you can go illustrate. If you're tired of illustrating, you can come back and do some editing. So you never get burnt out. Technically, as far as if you do get burnt out, you can go to another area. So I like that. I like that. That's freaking amazing. And as far as your trajectory in your life, man, you have a tremendous upside. So I'm gonna have to give you your flowers, man. You are a very unique, diverse, talented human being. I don't know if y'all grasp that and understand how talented this young man is. So I want you guys to definitely buy this book because it means a lot to me. It means a lot to him. So even if you just buy it, make sure you buy it, and then make sure you read it. So he's super talented.
I do want to mention something.
Go ahead.
So for the book, it is standard retail price at $7.99, but if you have Amazon Unlimited, you can get the book for free. So before you like what's the price of it? If you have Amazon Kindle Unlimited, it's free.
Y'all heard of me. Get back Amazon Unlimited. Or just buy it.
Cool. Let me give a couple more shout outs, and then we're gonna start beginning to close. So shout out to Mrs. Tarina Miles for tapping in. Shout out to my mother, goes in the Grig of Love. Shout out to all the other people. And shameless plug, this episode is brought to you by Q Jackson Apparel Company. I gotta add that in there. Shout out to my shout out to Q Jack, man, to Quentin Jackson. Check out www.qjacksonbrands.com. Mariah, do you have anything for us? Any other questions for us before we start closing? Because, like I said, we covered a lot today.
Yeah. No questions. I just want to say I'm really proud of you. This is my first time speaking with you. I can tell that you put in a lot of work behind this product.
Thank you so much for joining us as well. And it's been wonderful talking to you guys. It's been wonderful, hearing different voices ask questions. I think it keeps the energy up. It keeps the atmosphere a lot more breathable. I think on the first interview, I know there was different circumstances, but we were still keeping the cool. We were still having a good time. But this one just brought out so much more energy in all of us, and I do think that's a great blessing as well.
Yes.
And this is really weird for me to say, but check out some of my dances on my Instagram.
I meant to ask you what other talents you have outside writing.
Yes. So I do sing and I do dance. I self-taught myself how to dance because I think rhythm is something that comes from my family. But as far as learning how to dance, that was something I had to practice in private because I wasn't going to let another human being on earth see me try to practice dancing and then suddenly do something wrong, twist my ankle, whatever. So when I showcase any type of dancing, it's always me on my own, or there have been times where I've been at events where I've actually danced, but you'll never see the light of day on a camera.
That's the real dancing, right there.
And that's, you guys share that in common. Mariah loves to dance too. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Mariah loves to dance. In the words of T.O., I love me some me. Mariah loves her some her. Jawan same way. He loves him some him. You guys are very fluid when you guys dance. Me on the other hand, I do dance here and there. I got to have a little liquid courage in me, but I do dance. So hats off to all the dancers out there. Yes. And not only that, I would be remiss to bring this up once again. You talked about this. Shout out to the Poncho gang, okay? At the Poncho group out there. There's not a lot of you guys, but Juwan is rocking his poncho, the Poncho community.
No.
So Juwan, in wrapping up, my brother, do you have any other things that you want the world to know? Because we covered a lot. Is there anything that you feel like we didn't cover? Because we can tap in on that before we leave today's show.
So I think we've covered pretty much all there is to really cover. All I can really say for people who are fans of mine or supporters of mine or people who might stumble across me for the first time, all I can say is stay tuned. Follow my Instagram. I have several accounts, but the main ones. Oh yes, there is one more thing. Okay. So in my book, I also am a character. So you know how in certain stories or showcases on TV where there will be the person who creates the entire world of the series or whatever, like almost like a god figure.
Like the
Okay.
creator.
Yes. So I'm essentially that guy in my story. But like,
I
I
mean,
never said
you
my
are the
name.
creator of the
I
story.
Yeah. I've never said my name, but I'll say it here, just for those who are curious. In my entire novel series, I am only known as he of the beginning, the one who knows the story, who existed before the plot like details like ever took place. I'm the one who records the knowledge. I'm the one who showcases it and illustrates it. So that's my character.
I like that. I like that.
You know what? I love it.
Because people say all the time you're the creator of your own reality, but people don't actually live it or even write it.
Absolutely. I think that world building is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
And to create your own worlds, to have several different layers of not just characters, but also being a character, but like being a very subtle character.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of the hardest things to include in a series like this one, because I plan to have over 20 books in this series finished. But I'm spacing that out over time because I know that if I just pop them out like as I say, if I pop it out like
that momentum. Yeah.
I'm like I said, you always continue to amaze me. Like, you gotta understand, this man has created fictitious people within this book, and you have to develop these people. So as a writer, you have to do a little bit of history, not even history. You have to give them a back history, I should say. So it's just not like poof, I create a character. No, this character has to have traits, has to have history, has to have a purpose. And that's why I love J.K. Rowling, and I say that because she was in a book, she was in a library, or a lot of times a bookstore, creating a lot of these characters. So imagine you're just sitting down somewhere and you're writing. Okay, his name is going to be Harry. His name is going to be, her name is going to be Hermione. Like, and then you got to have a backstory. Same thing with you. You're sitting there creating these characters, and then they have to have a backstory. That is freaking amazing, man.
It's giving creative genius.
And then, last but not least, cracks me up. You have me thinking about it, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Sidebar, right? I'm pretty sure everybody's seen Wizard of Oz, right? So in the movie, what's the guy's voice that they're gonna go see? I forgot his name. The Wiz, yes. So the Wiz has this magical voice, right? And it projects. So you got to be thinking about Juwan as the Wiz in his particular book. Like, he's that one person behind the scenes, right? But he put himself in his own.
My boy not a fraud.
You said what?
I said the difference. My boy not a fraud, because the Wiz, he was just a fictitious character, and people were believing it.
You're right.
They were shown.
You're right. Juwan is definitely not a fraud at all. Super talented. But yeah, he had me thinking about. But he had that deep, that godlikely voice.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking about. But you're totally right. He was fictitious and he was a fraud. Because the Wiz didn't have.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, but I would say this, playing devil's advocate, the Wiz did make them believe in themselves, though.
Right.
So ultimately, he kind of was like a fraud, but he was like, "Look, at the end of the day, I'm fraudulent. I'm not anyone."
Well, I still do what I was supposed to do.
Look, you guys went on this journey. You're stronger than what you think. Because you thought you were coming to see me, or you thought I was going to cure everything. No, you cured yourself. So I would say that was pretty a unique journey. But anyway, I could talk for days, you guys. With that being said, we took you through a journey. We talked about beating cancer. We talked about the meaning and the word of savant. We talked about where and how to purchase the book. We talked about characters in the book. We gave you guys a lot. We didn't give away everything in the book because we want you to go buy it. But we
just enough so you can go get it.
Yes.
Kept you guys on the hook, but you need to go buy it. So with that being said, Juwan, give us some closing words, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Up, just to kind of good old recap. 9/11 folks, we hear you. We're praying for you. Heal. And like this whole entire conversation is just like it's so great. I can't express it enough. I find myself constantly in a loss for words when I'm trying to articulate and form my thoughts together. But definitely do go buy the book. Don't tell me you're gonna buy it. Tell me that you read it. That's what it's more here. Because I get a lot of people who like, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna read your book and never do it. It doesn't offend me, but like honestly, it shows investment if you say I've read it.
Yeah.
That is true because you took the time out of your day to read the book. And Miss Tarina Miles had a question. She said, "What's your Instagram name?"
So my Instagram name is Doshanko. It's spelled Doshanko.
You heard it from the man himself, man. Shout out to Doshanko. I don't have anything else for you guys. All I'm gonna say is just make sure you click, comment, and subscribe to Francis and Shondell at DNC. Shout out to Mariah for being such a great co-host today. I couldn't have done it without her. She did a wonderful job. We were an awesome team. So shout out to the team, DNC.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Just face the mountain. I think we're gonna leave with that. Whatever that means to you, because I can go on a tangent what it means to me, but I just love the word. You got to face the mountain.
Well, you can share a little bit of it.
Are you ready to face the mountain?
There you go. I think in life we all are faced with obstacles, and they may be little mountains, but they may be huge mountains. But at the end of the day, you got to conquer your fears. You tapped on it earlier, Juwan. We all have insecurities. We all have flaws. But we can't quiver behind those flaws. We have to face those flaws, to overcome those things, to see what kind of person we'll develop and be. So to develop and become a greater person, you have to scale that mountain little by little. But if you never scale or face the mountain, you never know what you become. So I gave you guys my gems, what face the mountain means to me. We all have mountains. You just got to face them.
We'll face them together.
Touche. And that's right. And if you can't face them by yourself, we'll face them together because you always have friends, families, mental health experts that you can reach out to. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to Mariah or Juwan. We'll face them with you. And with that being said, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and we're gone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.